game's really fascinating to me because like it was a big win that, at least saved some face for Orgeron. Obviously, he's not going to keep his job, but at least save some face instead of doing a complete face plant. But on the other side of it, Dan Mullen's like a few weeks ago, just barely losing Alabama. Like, Florida was riding high. Now lost to Kentucky, where they ran all over them. Lost to LSU, where Tyron Davis-Price ran for 287 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Clearly have problems on defense. And then to top it all off, Emory Jones, who's for the most part been their starter, Anthony Richardson, who is far more talented quarterback, he had to come in for the second half, and he kind of brought him back. He threw for 167 yards, and he's more he adds a different dynamic, just like Caleb Williams over Spencer Rattler. He adds such a different dynamic to that team that makes them harder for defenses to key in on them. They have to. I think they almost have to commit to Anthony Richardson now, because if you don't, there's a chance he's going to leave. Because that, with how the transfer portal works now, like you can't hold on to these two people and be like, well, just wait a year. Right? He's not. Anthony Richardson's not going to wait a year. So like you have two quality quarterbacks. So like I said, like it's a the history, or like what the branching off of this game is more fascinating than even as great a game it was. I think that's even a more fascinating part of it.
All right, talk to me about Tennessee Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, golf balls, things thrown on the field. What was going on there, boys?
Oh, Tennessee fans are, let's call them rabid, since they are dogs, since they are the hounds. It was just, it was nasty. It was nasty. That's about all you can say. The calls, there were a couple of iffy calls, but the Tennessee fans are fed up now. It's been since 15 years since they've been relevant. So they want it. And what amazes me about Tennessee is they keep Phil Fulmer around. Now you fire him as a coach, right? But somehow he still has input into your coaching hires. Right. And it's crazy.
And they still pack him in at over 100,000 plus. So I don't know.
Oh,
that was a crazy end, though. That took forever. It took like 20 minutes.
The hatred, the passion that Tennessee fans
Which is it?
You gotta on some level respect it. I mean, to a degree, that they cared that much about trying to get back at Kiffin, but it was just like the most bizarre spectacle, because I got home and I was watching it and I was just like, what the hell's going on here? I thought the game was over, and like I looked at the clock and no. And then when that happened, Tennessee was able to stop Ole Miss, and they got a shot to win it. And old Joe Milton, a transfer from Michigan, I mean, he had shots at the end zone. On the very last play, instead of throwing a Hail Mary, he scrambles the sideline and runs out of bounds. You're like, what the hell is going on? How could you not even take a shot? If he made that, I mean, think about it. If he was able to win that game, just throw it in the end zone. Who cares? You're backup right now. Right. I mean, it's just because Hooker was out that you're even playing in this game. Make a shot. Because, man, if you make that play, think about you are not beating Lane Kiffin. He will not have to buy a meal, a drink.
No, free pie Wednesday, man. He'll be there all the time. He'll be there.
He'll have his own. Obviously, with NIL now, like even as a player, he'd have his own car. Like, screw me at a car, working a car dealership. You have your own car dealership.
He'll be over there at Cheddar's, But I think this might spur other ideas at other schools, because why hasn't this happened before to our knowledge? Because they threw everything out there. Water bottles. There was a bottle of mustard. Did you see that? That wound up on the field. Don't know where.
Well, I was gonna say
golf balls.
That's probably one of the favorite non sequiturs I've ever heard during a football telecast. Is who brings a bottle of mustard to a game?
That was good.
That was an advertisement, wasn't it? It's
French's,
like
French's mustard is just that good.
Or something.
Try it today.
clearly that fan wins for the most hatred because clearly they grabbed that from the concession stand. So they
went way up there,
run up, grab it, come back down, and chuck it. So
okay, we'll see what happens with Lane Kiffin and company. Other college games you want to highlight today?
Alabama being Alabama,
bouncing
back from a Texas A&M, because Texas A&M lost to Mississippi State. Well, that just because that's what they do. Miami losing to UNC. I mean, what a weird year for both teams. Had such high aspirations, and UNC you get to win over Miami, and it's like, well, great. Three other teams have already done that. So I don't know. It's always my favorite thing about, pre-rankings of the season, like who knows who's actually good or not. So
true.
Oh, the other one I wanted to talk about just really quickly is Oklahoma versus TCU.
Yeah.
And that prior to that game, they had named Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams as co-starters. And also before that game, there was a student who I believe worked for the newspaper at the University of Oklahoma who was able to view practice from a public building and saw that Caleb Williams was getting all the snaps with the ones. And then the team proceeded to not allow people to watch from those buildings anymore. And didn't allow the press to go to practices anymore. But it's like, who, after the game he had against Texas, who are you fooling? I mean, when you watch Caleb Williams, again, watching the back that game that he had against TCU, you can't go back. I mean, Caleb Williams, the plays he's making, he had another rushing touchdown for 41 yards, where it's similar to that 66-yard rush against Texas, where the play was essentially blown up, and he just did a lateral cut and was able to elude a guy and then just shot forward and just got in the end zone. And then one of his other touchdowns, you can clearly tell the DB was playing well, and he's like, there's no way he's going to make that throw past me to the guy, the corner of the pylon. And he just zipped it in there. And again, like I said, it's one of those plays where you can't even fault the DB. Like most quarterbacks he's played against in college football or practice against, like they can't make that throw. And then he sees it's like, you got to be kidding me.
So where was the game, and where were they hanging out? What buildings? What campus?
I don't know what. Obviously, it was in Oklahoma. I don't know what building they were in. They somehow snuck into a building where they could view. The field.
Our crack research team just came up with this. Now, in the state of Oklahoma, just passed this breaking news: no buildings can be over 10 stories on college campuses anymore. That's it. Lugs, what do you got, man? What do you got?
Tornadoes. Well, here we go. I'm going to make my wild-ass prediction.
Wild-ass prediction.
All right. Ritter, Cincinnati, will win the Heisman this year.
I see your wild-ass prediction, and I raise you just to stay on this game, and this will be the end of it. Even though he didn't start the first 5 games of the season, if Caleb Williams maintains his pace, he will be the Heisman winner.
No, you're saying Ritter from Cincinnati, right?
That's what he's saying. I'm saying a guy who's only now finished playing his first full game. Gotcha. Caleb Williams will be, because I just think no one has separated himself enough. And I think Williams has been such a splash in essentially a game and a half in which he's played. If he maintains his pace, which playing in the Big 12, there's a good shot that he does, he might win the Heisman for a guy who missed essentially a quarter of the year.
And Lugs, I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you Cincinnati would be in the top 4. Where did you not listen to me, man? Come on.
Well, we've still got a lot of football to play.
There's a lot of football to play, son.
And they are not going to play anybody of any note whatsoever. So they have to win by at least 50 points per game to keep them in it. But let's be honest now. I'm an SEC guy. I'll admit it right up front. Against a Georgia, an Alabama, hell, even a Florida, they would whack Cincinnati. I mean, there would just be no competition at all. I'm sorry, Ritter would be running for his life, but we'll see. It's always good. Hot take. It's always good fun. I mean, man. Let's move to the NFL, boys.
The National Football League. Yeah, go.
I was just going to say the Ravens game, that was a statement game by Lamar Jackson to say,
no
hey,
doubt.
Justin Herbert, let me show you actually how it is done. Because, I mean, Lamar just took them apart, and Hollywood finally found his hands. I don't know where he's been keeping them, in his pockets maybe, but he finally caught a couple. Mark Andrews caught a couple. But the Baltimore Ravens defense showed up, and Herbert didn't know what to do at all. I've never, of the games I've seen of him, that's the worst I've seen.
He's had the only other game that comes close, I actually might surpass that one, is against New England last year. They tied him in knots, like mentally. So credit to the Belichick's, like he and his bizarre son, Bill and his bizarre son, but and Wink Martindale for the Ravens. They had a great game plan. They Chargers weren't able to get the run game going. And I think obviously Mike Williams not being 100% definitely helped the Ravens because he didn't move the same way. And also, just to be fair to the Ravens too, just give them credit. Marlon Humphreys is probably one, if not the best corner in the league. Like just the amount of different body shapes, shapes and sizes that he gets asked to mark. He gets asked to mark speedsters. He's asked to mark big guys, tight ends. You know, he can do it all. But anyway, they had a great game plan. And also just Chargers run defense is so poor that they had the trio of Latavius Murray, Le'Veon Bell, and Devontae Freeman. Yeah, you know, guys who still have some gas, but I mean, not a lot. we're getting close to the E. That for them to run for the amount of yards on the Chargers that they did, and they all scored rushing touchdowns. It was luckily. I mean, Lamar has been an MVP level player this year. He didn't have to do a whole lot this game, and I know Lugs is killing Hollywood Brown. I will give credit to Hollywood Brown. Obviously, Lugs watched a lot of that Detroit game, in which yes, Hollywood Brown stunk. But if you look at what Hollywood Brown's done this year, Hollywood Brown's been a very good wide receiver this year.
Lugs, he's been using those hand warmers, man. Didn't you not see that? That's all. He's just using those hand warmers. That's it.
Look, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in Detroit. Like clearly he did forget his hands, but every other game for the most part, his hands have been there. So that's all I'll say for Hollywood Brown. He's been good. Herbert was not good today. Sunday.
Knocked him down.
Austin Eckler wasn't able to really do a whole lot. He had 6 rushes for 7 yards. I mean, I don't know what that is per yard. It's not good. It's
1.7 or 1. Whatever.
Yeah. So it's it was mainly a defensive effort. The real kind of haggard offensive line that Ravens have at this point. They were able to do that. Credit to the O-line too. Like I said, it was great for Lamar. He's carried them for so many weeks. He got 1 week to kind of not have to do a whole lot. So it was good for him.
Man needs a break now and then.
Yeah.
So what happens when Green Bay and Chicago meet again after your boy Aaron Rodgers goes, I own you. Come on, baby. I mean, if that didn't get up the ire of the Chicago defense to want to just plan him, I mean, like that witch you see on Halloween half stuck in a tree, I think they should plant Rodgers in the ground.
On the goalpost like that?
Yeah.
Here's the thing I got about that. Okay, definition of word rivalry. T-Dog, this is going to kill us both, but it's not a rivalry. In the Rodgers era, the Packers are 22-5. This is not a rivalry. It's a whitewash. It's one-sided. I'm sick and tired of seeing it. I'm sick and tired of this. Go ahead.
I know this is a weird way to look at it. I feel kind of sad for Rodgers.
Why?
Because
over? It's over?
Just because, I mean, the way he gloated to a fan I look. He was look. To be fair, he was responding to a fan. It sounded like
a drunk guy from Cicero. You know,
no, it was a woman. Supposedly it was a woman giving him double bird, and she, obviously he